will Notre Dame be compared to LSU all year? I think that's kind of a given, unfortunately. Mark, thanks for tuning in, by the way. This is about the third or fourth time I think I've brought up one of your comments. Do you think Brian Kelly held Tommy Rees back at all in play calling and committing to a quarterback last season? I think yes and no. I think if you were Tommy Rees, you probably wanted Tyler Buchner, to be honest with you. If you're thinking about the longevity of you as an offensive coordinator and what you're doing down the road. I don't know. I think that there's the truth is somewhere in the middle. You know, Notre Dame fans think that certainly that Tyler Buchner, that Tommy Rees was held back in his play calling, that Brian Kelly was constantly saying, hey, like, no, you're not allowed to call that. Here's what you're going to call, so on and so forth. I think there was a little truth to that. But at the end of the day, I mean, did Tommy Rees come up with the offensive game plan? Yes. Did he come to Brian? Is it his job to come to Brian Kelly? Here's what I want to do. And yes, so I don't know. I think really more of what happened was Notre Dame committed to Jack Cohn. They made promises to Jack Cohn, brought him in as a graduate transfer, and they honored that and tried to get Tyler Buchner ready for this. So I don't completely buy that Tommy Rees was completely hamstrung by Brian Kelly, but I also don't think that you saw everything out of Notre Dame either, regardless of which extreme you're talking about here. This must be an Ohio State fan. David Wood, appreciate the question here. He says, "What about the specific running backs and their styles playing for Notre Dame?" Chris Tyree is going to start. He's listed as the starter. He's kind of more of a scat back, a receiving back, a guy that you could see moved out to the slot a little bit more. I don't know that he's your bell cow that's going to carry it 25 times a game. That's just not his personality. Logan Diggs, who's been banged up, he tore his labrum in his shoulder in the spring game in April. Who's just right there in terms of being ready. Sounds to me like he's giving it a go for Ohio State. Is kind of in between him and the extreme of the guy who's kind of who I would consider the third back in Audric Estime, who Notre Dame fans like to compare to Jerome Bettis. He's a big dude, a big, powerful guy. So Notre Dame's got a little bit of everything. They've got an in-between guy in Diggs. They've got a speed guy in Chris Tyree, and then they've got the bruiser of Audric Estime. One thing that I would say is that, Tyler Buchner has to run for, 50, 60 yards in this particular game. And one or two of those guys also have to get 60 or 70 yards for Notre Dame to have said that they won in this particular game. So that's Notre Dame's running back core.